Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel, Jupiter PN. Today we will see the match between the Indian Grandmaster Viswanathan Anand versus Russian Grandmaster Sergei Rublevsky. Viswanathan Anand in white pieces and Sergei Rublevsky in black. White opens with the king's pawn opening e4, and black responds c6 with the Sicilian defense, aiming for a dynamic and combative game. White develops the knight to f3, and black plays e6, setting up for the Paulson variation, which supports d5 and prepares for a solid pawn structure. White opens up the center by attacking the d4 square. Black exchanges pawn c takes d4, which is a standard response in the open Sicilian. White recaptures with the knight takes d4, and black plays a 6, preparing to prevent white's knight from jumping to b5 and preparing for a potential b5 pawn push. White develops another knight to c3, while black moves the queen to c7, supporting the c5 pawn and preparing for piece development. White develops the bishop to d3, which supports a potential e4-e5 push and looks at the h7 pawn. Black develops the knight to f6, attacking the e4 pawn and preparing to castle. White castles kingside, ensuring the safety of the king. Black develops the bishop to c5. White's knight moves to b3, aiming to support potential pawn pushes on the queenside or prepare for c4. Black develops the bishop to e7, preparing to castle kingside. White develops the bishop to e3, which supports the d4 knight and prepares to challenge black's center. Black reinforces the center with d6. White plays f4, preparing to undermine black's queenside pawn structure. Black responds with b6, aiming to support the b5 pawn and prepare for queenside development. White continues with a5, challenging black's b5 pawn and seeking to create weaknesses on the queenside. Black pushes b5, gaining space and opening lines on the queenside. White pins the b5 pawn with bishop to b6, creating potential threats against the a7 pawn and targeting black's queenside structure. Black moves the queen to c6, defending the b5 pawn and targeting the c4 square. White prepares to launch a kingside attack with f4, opening up possibilities for an aggressive play. Black develops the knight Bd7, supporting the center and preparing for potential pawn breaks. White's knight move to d4 places pressure on black's position and prepares to exploit the weakened b5 pawn. Black moves the queen to b7, defending the b5 pawn and targeting white's queenside. White advances e5 to open up the center and gain space. Black exchanges pawn on d takes e5, leading to an open and dynamic position. Bx5, Nx5. White recaptures with f takes e5, attacking the e5 pawn and aiming for an open f-file. Knight takes e5, attacking the f3 square and exerting pressure on white's position. Now the killer move by the Anand is rook takes f6, sacrifices the exchange to open lines against black's king and create attacking chances. Black recaptures with the g-pawn, opening the g-file and weakening the kingside pawn structure. White develops the bishop to e4, aiming at the weakened f7 square and increasing the pressure. Black moves the queen to b8, defending the b5 pawn and aligning with the queenside. White moves the knight to c6, creating threats and challenging black's position. Black exchanges knights on c6, opening up the b-file and creating potential weaknesses. White recaptures on c6, giving a check that forces black's king to move. Black's king moves to f8, an awkward position that exposes the king to further threats. White's queen moves to f3, increasing pressure on the black position and targeting the f7 square. Black moves the rook to a7, possibly preparing to defend or double rooks on the a-file. White's queen moves to e3, supporting the bishop and preparing for further attacks. Black moves the rook to c7, defending the c-file and aiming to reinforce the position. White's queen move to f4 targets the b5 pawn and prepares for potential attacks. Black's rook moves to b7, defending the b5 pawn and adding pressure to white's queenside. White checks with queen to h6, forcing black's king to move to g8 and exposing it further. White's bishop move to d4 increases pressure on black's position and supports the attack. Black tries to open lines with e5, aiming to create counterplay. White moves the bishop to e3, reinforcing the attack and preparing to protect key squares. Black's queen moves to d6, defending against White's threats and preparing for potential counterplay. White captures the B7 pawn with bishop takes B7, attacking the rook and gaining material. Black recaptures with the bishop, trying to consolidate the position. White moves the rook to D1, putting additional pressure on Black's position and targeting key squares. Black moves the queen to E6, defending and preparing for potential defense. White advances the B-pawn to challenge Black's queenside structure and create threats. Black moves the queen to G4, aiming for counterplay and potential exchanges. White prepares to double rooks with rook to D2. Black's queen captures the B4 pawn, but this move is risky as it leaves the queen exposed. White develops the knight to E2, preparing for further attacking opportunities. Black pushes F5, trying to open lines and create counterplay. White moves the knight to G3, increasing pressure and preparing to support potential attacks. Black advances F4, creating tension and attempting to exploit the open lines. White's knight move to F5 creates threats and attacks the Black position. Black checks with queen B1, aiming to distract White's king and create tactical opportunities. White's king moves to F2, maintaining a strong position. Black sacrifices the pawn on E3 to open lines and create counterplay. White's king moves to E2, keeping a solid position and remaining active in the defense. White has a significant material advantage and a strong attacking position. Black's king is exposed and vulnerable, while White's pieces are well coordinated for the attack. The game has reached a stage where White is well positioned to convert the advantage into a win. That's why Black resigned the game. If like this video, then please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon. Thank you.